Hey Danny, it's the third time I've sat down in front of this camera. The other two times I haven't been able to press record, but I know you'd be getting a little antsy with me. Strike three and I'd be out, so I was really hoping the next time we got a chance to sit down and make a video for you, it would be with a theme of congratulations. As soon as I got the call from Slim on Saturday night, I've spent many nights lying awake, many different times throughout the workday, or even just lounging around before coming into work, thinking back to all of my favorite memories with you. Everything from when we first met, when you started at KTVQ in Billings, playing FIFA soccer downstairs. State wrestling, pretty sure you were the one that shot a stand-up of me in a wrestling singlet. Somehow it seems odd to me that that role was not flip-flopped and you would be the one in the singlet. Good times over in Missoula. Good times in Butte at State Track. Of course, the epic trip to Chicago for the NCAA tournament. And then most recently, of course, is, even though it wasn't nearly as long, and I sure wish it was, the chance that we got to catch up with you in Florida in February. Anyways, I was driving home on Tuesday night and continuing to think about things and came to the conclusion that why the hell shouldn't we be able to congratulate you? If the whole point of being alive and being on this earth is to live life, then you, my friend, deserve more congratulations than most. I don't know if I've met anyone that has truly lived life to the fullest every step of the way, whether it be at work, whether it be with your friends, whether it be with your family, and you always did it with a smile on your face. That comforted me a bit as I was driving home last night, that you absolutely brought joy and positivity to anyone that was around you. I think over the past few days, just seeing the pouring in of support from your friends and family in Montana, from those that you worked with and those that knew you in Florida, same thing in California, and the rest of these folks that you're about to see in this video, it shows the kind of person you are. It shows the kind of impact that you've had, and it shows just how much we all loved you.
I was fortunate to see and be a part of Dan Cimino's early career. He did outstanding work here at KTVQ. And on this field full of personalities, Dan Cimino's personality stood out in any room. The last few days I found myself to be so damn sad about his passing. But then I'd see a post, a quote, a photo from Slim or Richie or Casey, and I got to laugh out loud. A lot of us laughed out loud about Dan Cimino. He's going to be missed very much by many people across this entire country. We sure will miss him here at Q2. All I can say at the end then is let's fight cancer at every turn we can.
To the Cimino family from Janelle Slade and Jay Cohn, I don't know what words really aren't adequate at this time to express our condolences for Dan's passing, other than to express our gratitude for having spent some time with your son and your brother.
Uncle.
Uncle.
You have a beautiful family, and Dan's smile, I can see it on all of you, and
Right.
It's infectious and it's beautiful, and I will never forget it. We will never forget it here at Q2.
We all have such a short time here on earth, and we hope to impact other people that we're around, and certainly Dan did that. He was just one of those people that was so fun to be around, so talented and vivacious. And I just remember one of the last times I saw Dan was several years ago. We were in Missoula. John Stepanek and I were trying to convince him to come back to Q2 to work here, but he had bigger fish to fry, and we were so excited to see him pursue those dreams, and now our dreams are dashed for him. So again, our condolences. I just feel good to have known him, and
I'm blessed.
experienced his. Yes, you bet.
One of the things I remember about Dan Cimino is that he was one of the really good guys in our industry. He was a lot of fun to be around, and you didn't have to be a sports guy to enjoy his work. He always found something interesting or maybe something funny about sports to tell you about. You know, they say, as long as you're remembered, you're never truly gone. Well, he touched a lot of lives, and he'll be, as far as I'm concerned, around for a long time. He was a son, he was a brother, and a friend. And we sure do miss you, Dan.
Dan Cimino, he was always the life of the party. Every day you'd come in, it would be a fun day. Dan would light us all up. If it was him dancing in the middle of the newsroom, if it was him adding content to our blooper tape every year, you could always count on Dan to lighten the mood here at Q2. And when he left and went on to bigger and better things in Florida, we were all happy for him. Cancer just, it's too bad cancer's a thing, because it takes too many people away. And it took Dan away too early. And I'm just glad that I got to know him for the time that he was here at Q2.
He was a great human, through and through. And anybody who met him knew that pretty easily right off the bat. You know, in talking with Rob Griggs, who worked with him frequently on the weekends too, you know, he brought up how well Dan had when it came to comedic timing. He had it perfectly. And I don't want to ruin the story, but there was one time where Rob couldn't remember a certain acronym that he had. And, you know, Dan was there to kind of save the day, but jokingly, PFH is what it was. And of course, Dan was able to say it was pretty effing hot. But he always knew how to bring humor. I didn't actually get to meet Dan until working at Q2 as an intern. And by then, you know, he was the third sports guy, essentially doing everything. He was a Swiss Army knife. But he was so kind to take me under his wing, teach me the ropes, let me hang out with him. I really was interested in sports at the time, and so he let me tag along. And I remember a year later, after all that time, and after all he taught me, going out to a shoot, breaking news. There was a stabbing. It was my first chance to do a hard news story and get it covered, but I was all on my own, no safety net. And I get out to the scene, and I blank, I freeze up. I don't know, how to work the camera. I don't remember any of it, other than the record button, the on button, the record button. There was so much more to it. You have to white balance, you have to make sure that the color's right, and the shutter's actually off at a nighttime shoot so people can see things. And I remember I can call Dan. And I called, he picked up. It was the type of person he was. Willing to help out, even if it was a minor thing. And that stuck with me. I know it wasn't much. He helped me through it. And he didn't really have to do anything, but his consistent kindness was something that stood out to me. And I think that's something that can't be taught in anybody. And that's something the world's going to miss. We don't have a lot of it sometimes, but he always brought it in every room, to every person he met. Just a great guy who was brought up well by his parents from Montana, from LA, but a Montana boy that embodied everything he wanted as a coworker and as a friend. We're going to miss him a lot. But even Rob, one of the smartest weather guys we know, we got a lot of them here. He always says that God likes reunions, and I wholeheartedly believe that. So we'll be seeing him soon. No problem about that.
I remember the first time Dan Cimino walked in to the station. He was a job shadow. He was a kid at Skyview. I don't think he was 5 feet 5 inches tall. He just wanted to come in and get his feet wet, check out television to see if it was something that he wanted to pursue. Told me at the time he was not sure what he wanted to get into, but he was thinking maybe something with Disney World, maybe something with television. Little did he know at the time that oftentimes TV is a lot like Disney World. So then he comes back and he wants to intern, and Dad calls and says, Paul says to me, you know, Scott, he's a great kid. He's got a huge heart. He is a hard worker, and if you could just give him a shot, you know, it would mean so much to me and so much to him. And I didn't blink. I didn't think twice about it. And everything that Paul said turned out to be an understatement, because when Dan showed up, he was eager to dive in head first. He was eager to learn. He was eager to make mistakes and to learn how to correct them. And he took all that and he turned it into a terrific career, obviously. But what really struck me at the time about Dan was that there was another intern at the time, and that kid barely worked. He didn't do anything. He called in sick constantly. In fact, Dan had to pick up his slack, and Dan was enthusiastic about that. And when it was time for Dan to get a job, we hired him without thinking twice. Hard worker, big heart, compassionate, laughed, personality was contagious, and that's what I will never forget about Dan. He was terrific. Then he works with us here as a number 3 sports guy. He does his stuff with the Mustangs and his feature stories and his cheerleader dance team stuff, where he outdanced all of them, by the way. And we got so many hits on our website for that story. I'll never forget it. Lo and behold, it comes time for him to take off and go to Missoula. And we weren't about to hold him up, because that's what we do. We come in, we groom, we teach, and we send you off, and we hope to become proud of you. And I've never been prouder. Dan went to Missoula, and he was terrific at reporting news. He was even better at sports, because that's where his passion was. He was an award winner at the E.B. Craneys. He won an award in television for fantastic story reporting, storytelling, you know. And then he makes the decision to go down to Orlando. Wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. Terrific. Go down, Dano. He called me. I said, get after it. Don't second guess yourself. Yeah, if they don't want to pay you what you're worth in Missoula, go to Orlando. You'll have no trouble finding a job. He did. He gets down there, hooks up with his brother, hooks up with the TV station, and in no time, he's their social media whiz. He's doing their morning show stuff. And again, his personality down there was so contagious. What I remember also about being here was the Lakers when they won their back-to-back championships. Mom comes back. Angela, she delivers these hats for us, these World Championship hats. One for Casey, one for Dan, one for me, and I still keep it here at the station in my desk. And I also keep pictures of Dan and Casey and me. This, for instance, was when we did a promo with the Billings Mustangs for baseball action. Dan, Casey, and me. Q2 Sports, Billings' best baseball coverage. Look at him. Look at the smile. Look at the goatee. See, that would never work on me. Dan could always make whatever work he needed to. That $1 million smile as well. He got to see the San Diego Chargers wind up in Los Angeles. He loves his Los Angeles teams, his Dodgers, his Lakers, his Kings, and now, of course, his Chargers. Die-hard Grizz fan and proud alum as well. So he went down swinging. He went down absolutely swinging, but with a smile. I don't think he ever had a bad day. And when he did, you'd never know it. He'd tell you, this went wrong, and then give you the old, a little chuckle. When I learned just recently that his body was starting to cave into this brutal disease, I happened to be out in my backyard planting trees with my kids. And they remember Dan, and Simmy was my nickname for him. And I told them, I explained to them, they're only 10 and 12, and I explained to them what was happening, and they're well aware of cancer. And the tree that I was planting at the time that I got the news, we named it the Simmy tree. So it'll always be with us. Danny will always be with us. Simmy will never be forgotten. And you know what? We didn't lose Simmy. When you lose somebody, you can't find him. We know exactly where he's at.
Hey, Dan, like most everyone who came into contact with you and knew you, I'm saddened. I'm shocked. It's been a hard year watching you go through what you went through, but I can say that your example of just being a positive person and your fight against this horrible disease was inspiring on so many levels, man. You know, we're going to miss the heck out of you. You know that. I'm going to miss our daily texts about DMX and his old school raps and all the shenanigans he's gotten up to since he fell off of the top of the rap game. Most of all, man, I'll just miss your spirit, your attitude. You know, there was nothing like going to work and seeing a funny Dan email or getting a funny Dan .gif or just seeing the funny things you did every day and the way you affected people and the way that you still affect people and that you will affect people for as long as they live. I know that everyone you came in contact with, I know you left a little piece of yourself with them, and I think we're all better off having met you, man, and I know that I'll never forget about you, and I can't wait to be in your fantasy league or something someday in heaven, man. I know you're in a better place, and I know you're not in pain anymore. So, Dan, I love you. I want to thank you for being my friend for as long as you were. We had some certainly some good times. You know, we only hung out a handful of times over the years, but they were always really special. And the stories that I have and that other folks have told me, those will last with me for a lifetime, man. So you will never die in the minds of us at Montana Sports. We love the hell out of you. And to Dan's family, I wish I'd had a chance to meet you, but I'm very inspired by your courage. And you know, if you had a relative as cool as Dan, then you guys must be pretty cool yourself. And you know, just very grateful to have known Dan and hoped I get to meet you guys someday. So love to Dan and love to the Cimino family.
Hi, Dan and Dan's family. My name is Brenna Green, and I worked in Great Falls as a sports anchor while Dan was a sports anchor in Missoula. And I just want to say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to speak about Dan. Dan was someone that was special for me pretty much from the beginning of my time in Montana. He made me feel like I belonged from the very beginning. He always cared about me. He always made sure that he'd always be there if I ever needed any help with anything, including but not limited to the time that I drove all the way from Great Falls to Missoula for a state tournament without any memory cards in my camera. Yeah, thank you for saving my butt, Dan, because that would have been really bad if you did not have any memory cards that I could have used. You were truly a lifesaver and truly someone who just gave your all to everyone that was around you. It didn't matter who you were. Dan always had your back. And, you know, Dan became someone that I was really good friends with. I had a lot of great times with him. Probably my favorite time with him was when we shut down not one, but 2 bars in Portland on a weekday night once. Pretty legendary. We're pretty cool. But that night he also introduced Rap Chat, which was an app to myself, one of my good friends from college, and then Slim Kimmel. And Dan, I just want to say you're welcome for not releasing the Rap Chat I still have of you rapping as Elmo, because I still had it. So, yeah, you're welcome. Like I said, it's still one of the funniest things ever, though. You know, it just doesn't feel real that you're gone. And maybe it's just because you are so full of life that I don't think it really matters whether or not you're here or not in terms of your impact on the world. You're always going to have an impact on this place, and your energy has made so many people's lives so much better. And I think everybody can attest to that, even with small interactions with you. you had an impact on so many, and that is such an incredible legacy for you to leave behind. And, you know, 28 years isn't long, but you packed so much love into that time. And that's something that I will always admire about you. Just to Dan's family, I can't even fathom the amount of pain you're feeling right now. I'm so, so sorry. But I do want to thank you for making Dan the person that he was. You made him just an incredible human being, and without you guys, that just doesn't happen. So thank you so much for making him such a loving, caring, kind person. I'm so thankful, and I know that there are countless others that are thankful as well. So thank you so much for letting me speak and letting me honor Dan in the way that he should be honored.
Hey everybody, for those who don't know me, I'm Ben Ross. I met Dan when I was living in Billings several years ago, and I just wanted to say, you know, Dan was such a talented guy as a sports reporter and broadcaster, but more than that, he was just such an energetic person and such a great guy, and so friendly and so creative and so fun to be around. And you know, he was a really good friend of mine, and it just sucks that he's gone so soon. But the one thing I'll say is, I mean, the guy made such an impact on so many lives in such a short time, and I think that just shows what an incredible person he was, to touch so many lives and make such an impact. And I think I speak for everyone when I say we're all really going to miss him, and I want to certainly offer my support and condolences for his family and his friends. And I wish I could be there, but I know that Dan will be watching over us all. And I just want everyone to know that you're all in my thoughts and in my prayers.
Dan all that well, but a couple times that I interacted with him, I hung out with him, obviously state tournament stuff, seemed like a really cool guy, and obviously Richie and Casey and Slim all talked highly of him and spoke highly of him. I know what it's like to lose a relative to cancer. Obviously not a child or a friend, but it sucks. And it seems trivial to say that, but it's the only thing you can say is, it sucks. It absolutely stinks.
A certain quote popped into my mind earlier this week. Those we love never truly leave us. There are certain things even death cannot touch. Dan, you're not gone. You're definitely still here with all of us. And I make one promise to you, my friend. The promise that you asked all of us to make sure and do.
So, anyways, I just want to thank everybody for your thoughts and prayers. Keep them coming. And y'all just take care. And just remember to enjoy the little things as much as possible. All right, see ya.
Even in your time of need, you were worried about us. I love you, buddy.